What's going on, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, and that's because I got sick and tired of my old school bulky wallet. I didn't want to carry in my pocket anymore, and I am not one for man purses. So this is the way I went. Holds up to 12 cards, has a money clip, so takes care of my stuff that way. The whole thing is about the size of a credit card, so slides right in my pocket, no problem. Also comes in about 30 different styles. This is forged carbon, but it comes in aluminum, titanium, a whole bunch of other colors and materials. If you buy right now, between now and September 18th, any purchase is going to enter you into a contest to win a Jeep Gladiator. You can get the off-road version or the convertible version if you win. And all you got to do is use code RBP or go to ridge.com/RBP. Click the link in the description, go to ridge.com/RBP, or use the code RBP when you're buying, and it'll get you 10% off. Plus, it will enter you into the contest. Win that Jeep, guys. Thanks a lot. Check out Ridge. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Real Bodybuilding Podcast. This is episode number 120, and I'm here with Mr. KC Mitchell. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. I follow you on Instagram, and I've been checking out a lot of your videos kind of come through, and I see some of the stuff you're doing. I'm extremely inspired by what you're able to do with all you've been through. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening maybe don't know what I'm talking about. You have a lot of followers, and probably a lot of people know you, but I'm sure there's some that don't. So do you want to kind of describe to people what it is that I'm talking about mainly?
I'm assuming it's the powerlifting. The powerlifting. Yeah. So, if you don't know me, why, people think, well, why is this guy what's so great about what he does, powerlifting? And the answer to that is that I'm an amputee, and with my left leg below the knee, and then my right leg is limb salvage. And, I've had an extraordinary amount of surgeries and recovery due to, being wounded in Afghanistan back in 2010, which I'm sure you and I will discuss. But yeah, I'm assuming it's the powerlifting. I started this powerlifting journey about 4-ish years ago, just due to the challenge of it. Yeah. When I first saw powerlifting for the first time, it was, I was kind of like looking for like my niche, or like something that I felt like would challenge me mentally and physically that a lot of people weren't doing. And when I saw powerlifting, I don't know, the energy, the adrenaline, the anger, just everything about it kind of just really sucked me in more than anything. And so, I had been lifting weights and stuff, and I just didn't know what type of athlete that I wanted to be, or like where I wanted to like go. And powerlifting was it. It's still it. And when I got onto the internet, I was kind of looking about, amputee powerlifters and adaptive powerlifting, and just, everything and anything. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. Yeah, and I didn't really understand why until I started trying to learn how to do it. And to do it at a level that, at a competitive level, where, there's no alterations that are made for me or anything like that, that it's me competing against able-bodied athletes at the same level with the same rules that they got to follow in powerlifting. And so it was a long journey, but I've been managed to compete and things like that in the powerlifting industry.
Can I ask you where, I'm going to show people just a couple of your lifts, just so we can get that out of the way, just so people know exactly what we're talking about here and how impressive it is. Where exactly is your leg amputated? This is actually, before you answer, this is Casey's Instagram page. If you don't follow him, it's that one leg monster is his handle if you're listening on audio. And it's just spelled KC, the letters KC, and then Mitchell. So these are some of your, this one, there was one down here that I saw that it was the day I messaged you because it blew me away. I'm trying to find it. It was, I don't know if it was your training partner, or I don't think it was your girlfriend, but somebody was smacking you before you were doing a deadlift.
That one's up a little ways.
Is it?
It's up at the top. Or Okay, so I think it might be in my reels, that one.
No, I don't think so. You know what though? It doesn't matter.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. You're talking, it's Gracie. So Gracie,
Yeah.
she's a powerlifting. She was a big time powerlifter when I first came into the industry, and you know, she kind of helped prepare me to get ready for my first powerlifting comp.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one right there. That one right there is actually at my very first competition at the.
So how much is that you're lifting there?
That was 600 pounds. There she is right there.
This is it. This is the one. This is the one, man.
Yeah. So this was very intense for me because this was the very first powerlifting comp, and nobody had done this. And this lift right here, I had actually missed about 6 or 7 times. I had never lifted this weight ever. That's my dog right there jumping in the front.
Sorry, how much weight is this?
600 pounds.
600. Jesus.
Yeah, and so I had never done this. I had missed it multiple times leading into this comp. Ed Cohen, who's one of the most, you know, historical powerlifters ever.
Yeah.
He was there. He was kind of calling my numbers for my deadlifts at the time.
Yeah.
And I let him know going into the deadlift that, you know, I want 600 pounds. And yeah, so, you know, yeah, this is 605 beltless pause rep where I paused this one.
So this is where you can see, so people watching, if you're on audio, you might want to check out the YouTube video. For people watching, so you're amputated at the knee?
Right below the knee.
Right below the knee?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, like, you still feel like you get full power and everything that way? Because I can't imagine lifting that. Like, I can't lift that kind of weight and I'm 100%. I can't imagine you lifting that kind of weight and having you know, a disability. So it's like, it's crazy to me to see.
Yeah, I don't, it's hard for me to tell you if I do or not, because I never power lifted prior to being an amputee. I never, I don't know what it would feel like to have both legs and lift like this. I never lifted on this level ever. This is obviously in the animal cage, 630-pound deadlift right here. This was a massive deadlift for me. Never had lifted this ever.
How does that feel with all these people watching you?
It's all crazy. You know, the story with the animal cage, it's really holds really close to me, because when I first started my, you know, just like career of like fitness and powerlifting, you know, I got offered to come to the Arnold to be at a booth.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously at that time I was not very well known at all, but, you know, the guy who offered me to come said, you know, hey, if you know, can get yourself here, man, you're more than welcome to have a spot at the booth to meet some of your fans and stuff. And so that time that I did that, I remember seeing the animal cage and walking by the animal cage. And I mean, I can remember like it was yesterday, just running my hands along the cage. And one of my friends who did a lot of videography and stuff for me in the beginning, he was with me. And I just remember looking back at him and just telling him, like, one day I'm going to be inside this thing lifting, because it's such a prestigious thing to be asked to lift inside the animal cage.
Yeah.
The greatest of all times have been inside there. And there's been some crazy lifts that have gone in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, a couple years later,
there you are,
right inside that thing, and I've lifted in it 3 times, and you know, it's incredible, the atmosphere inside, that being surrounded, and and not just by the people, but by the legends that are inside that cage too, that are just screaming at you and hyping you up, and they want to see it too, you know. So yeah, it's an incredible feeling. Something that, you know, obviously keeps me going and keeps me doing this, because, you know, powerlifting is hard on the most elite powerlifters. You know, it tears our bodies apart. It's mentally tough. You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, and it's painful. It's slowly getting to a point where it's starting to break me down a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out new ways of like how to still be able to compete. But yeah, being inside there with all the people, it's a very surreal feeling to be inside there.
So now that people know who you are and what, actually, I just want to show one more photo because it's actually very telling. This kind of says a lot. Yeah. Kind of just that starting photo there. Yeah. Is kind of, you know, the thing that's impressive to me is people complain a lot about training and about their adversity. And I've gone through some adversity that I thought was the end of, you know, the end of the world. And to see you kind of have a disability and go through like it's not theirs is the inspiring part. But now that people know kind of what it is that is inspiring about you and what it is that you do, I kind of want to get into how it happened and where it kind of started. So where did powerlifting start, and were you working out at all before the injury, or no?
Yeah, so I worked out a lot different. It's funny because just yesterday I went to my storage unit to pull out some of my old military stuff, and I had a T-shirt in there. And I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna pull this T-shirt out and wear it when I do so and so." It's a size medium, And I was like, I was kind of laughed at myself, like, man, I used to really think I was jacked back then,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of funny, but I lifted. I would say I did more like bro lifting. Just kind of just go to the gym. I was always my whole entire life I've always been a small guy, but I'm always in shape type of guy. I did a lot of MMA fighting.
Okay.
While I was in, that was kind of like what I did as an athlete, I guess you could say.
Sure.
But being my MOS, which was my job title, and the military, which was an airborne infantryman, being a huge jack dude is not the best thing. We need to be quick, agile, maneuverable. So I was just always just really in shape. I could wake up in the morning and go run 10, 15 miles, no problem. Well, obviously, because of the injuries alone, that's a little bit more difficult. But even being the size like you are and me and stuff like that, guys like us, we just can't wake up and go trot.
No.
15
No,
miles,
I haven't ran in like a decade.
Yeah, so it's a little different. As far as like powerlifting, I never even knew much about powerlifting until I went to Las Vegas with some friends. And they were having the national championships there, and I watched a guy who actually coaches me now. His name's Brandon Allen. He's a world-class power lifter. I just remember him coming out behind the curtain, and just the amount of intensity that there was. It sucked me right in, and I was like, this is everything. Because I couldn't find anything that got me riled up like back when I used to cage fight or something like that. Just that intensity, and I bodybuild. I had trained with some of the Chris Gettin, who's a freak to train with. I mean, I'm sure you know who he is. I've trained with him. I was really close with Rich Piana back in the day. He was wild, and and I had been around some, Michael Hearn. I trained with that guy, and he's a legend, and so I trained with some people, but I like the intensity, but it's just powerlifting was just on a whole different spectrum for me, the way it pulled me in. And so I know I had never done it prior to.
So that first competition you saw, the first powerlifting competition you saw, that was after your injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So can we go back? So you're an airborne infantryman. Is that what you said? Is that what you start as, or is that something you kind of graduate to when you enter the military?
Yeah. When I joined the military, your job, you're going to go to infantry school. And then, at that time, I'm 18 years old. They're like, hey, we'll pay you $150 extra a month if you jump out of planes. And I was like, hell yeah. That's how they get you. And then they give, they're like, we'll give you a $10,000 sign-on bonus too. And, I never even seen $10,000 at 18 years old, and so they got me good. And next thing you know, I'm in Georgia, Fort Benning, Georgia, going through infantry school. Obviously you got to graduate basic training and all that. And went through that, and then graduated and hopped on a bus, and took me a few miles down the road to, get ready to jump out of airplanes for a few weeks. And
so in your job in the military, like when you actually get past the schooling, how often are you jumping out of planes?
So I was doing it pretty often. My first duty station was Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It's an airborne unit. We're jumping out of planes pretty often out there. I deployed to Iraq in 2005 through 2006 out in Baghdad, Iraq. And then once I kind of got back from there, I re-enlisted and got moved to Fort Lewis, Washington, which there was no airborne unit out there. So I wasn't jumping out of planes at all up there.
What's the highest altitude you've jumped from?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
No,
long ago. No.
Is it?
Oh, it's low flying though. You don't even really. You just kind of more fall.
Okay.
Get troops on the ground very, very quickly.
Is it terrifying the first time, or is it just something you get terrified and then you get used to it, or what is it like?
So my first one, I was a door guy. So that means when we get ready to go, I'm literally the guy standing out the door while everybody's kind of sitting.
Yeah.
Guys in the back, it's great because you just really shuffle out the door. You don't see anything.
Yeah.
You always know you're in the air, but you don't see shit. You just kind of right out the door, I'm sitting there like, looking, I'm like, I'm about to jump out of this perfectly good airplane right now. My very first time. I was a little like, obviously nervous, never done it. Had a lot of training leading up to it. And I just remember like, the light goes green and you get smacked on the butt. And you just kind of just fly out, you know. Next thing you know, you're just floating in the air, you know. So it's kind of it happens so fast. You don't really have a lot of time to sit there and think about it, you know. And like I said, the guys in the back, they're just funneling out of an open door.
Yeah, you have to excuse me if I'm asking a lot of like really simple questions about. I'm really interested in military stuff.
Yeah.
It's always been I've always been fascinated by, and I don't feel like you get enough. I don't feel like I ever get enough information from the news or even some documentaries. So it's kind of like talking to you one-on-one. I get to get the little nitty-gritty things.
Yeah, of course.
So you said you deployed to Iraq in 2005, 2006. Now that was probably some of the heaviest fighting.
No, my Afghanistan was
worse.
Insane.
So in 2005, 2006, Iraq, what was that like? That was your first time at going.
I was about 18, 19 years old, maybe 19 years old at that time. It was very, intense. I mean, my very first mission out was IED sweeping mission in the middle of the night, where we basically do route clearance. Basically, is based, where I was a gunner, as a 50 cal gunner, machine gunner on top of a Humvee, and I just had a spotlight, and we're just cruising the road at a very slow pace, looking for roadside bombs.
Wow.
It was my very first mission. I didn't even know the landscaping very much, or like, the city itself very much. It was just, hey, you guys got to go out and, because you got to keep up the sweeps. A lot of patrols, a lot of convoys, they move through, and that's what at that time, they were, the terrorists were targeting was those convoys and things like that, because that's what's getting supplies from point A to point B and moving troops, and there's a lot of things going on. So, it was very intimidating, my very first one. And, my very first mission out, we went out and we were clearing a route, and we came up on a little girl sitting on a crate. We couldn't figure out, like, why is this little girl sitting on a crate in the middle of the night? And we had known that they had been using kids to bait us in. And sure enough, there was an IED in place right near her. That would be command detonated by somebody watching us. Look good, all good news. We ended up calling in a couple Abrams tanks and kind of being able to block off the IED. Using the tank as a shield, where somebody could run back there, grab her, get her out of there.
That's so insane, man.
It's crazy. It's just the way it is. And that was my very first, like, oh shit, this is real tough. And then, it was just a lot of that over in Iraq for me, and then, I was there from July of 2005 till November 2006. So I was there for a very long time. That was during the very first time that they started extending,
tours.
Troops over there, like making us stay longer than a year. The Army does a year. I think the Marines do like 6 to 8 months. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they do. And then, they were pushing the Marines out for longer, and they were pushing us, out to a year and a half of being, deployed. But yeah, we moved all over that dang country.
When you're there for the first time and you start getting kind of accustomed to the danger, and during that first year or more that you were there in Iraq, did you experience any loss or any injuries yourself, or any loss of any friends or anything like that? Or were you pretty much in danger but got through it okay?
Yeah, so my first deployment, we had some guys that got wounded. We had no KIAs, I believe, that within my company. We had no KIAs in my company, but we had, obviously, when those bombs go off, it does some good damage. It was just for me at that time, what our job was there was a little bit just different. I don't know, just a little bit different compared to like when I went to Afghanistan, where my battalion was one of the hardest hit battalions in like the Afghan war.
Okay.
It was Army battalions. It was unreal. Just different.
So when you come home from Iraq, how long are you here before you re-enlist, and why did you re-enlist? Did you think, like, did any part of you think I don't want to do this again, or were you certain you were going to go back once you got here?
I was I don't know. From the moment I kind of got to basic training, I'd always wanted to join the military. Even when I was young, I was already going to like little military like schools.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather was World War II veteran. I looked up to him. Like, I mean, the guy was just, he was in World War II.
Yeah.
Received the Purple Heart from wounds over there, and he was just about all around badass. So I really looked up to him, and so I always knew I was going to join the military. I didn't know like when, but yeah, no, it's just once I kind of was in basic training, I never was ever like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Even when I was in Iraq, there was never a point where I was like, this is not where I want to be.
Okay.
You know, and then when I got back, you know, during my deployment, my platoon sergeant at the time just saw a lot of like leadership from me, saw, you know, that I was like somewhat of an intelligent and tactical person. You know, I just seen things, you know, when I was a PFC, I was building route plans and giving out, you know, missions in front of high ranking people about our mission that we're about to conduct, you know, so he really put me into a lot of, you know, leadership roles as a very young, you know, soldier in the military.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, you know, he let me know that, you know, he was going to get me promoted to E5, which was a sergeant, but he wanted me to re-enlist. And I said, no, absolutely. So I re-enlisted, and after I re-enlisted, you know, 5-6 months later, I was getting promoted to sergeant after going to the NCO board. And then, yeah, and then I got re-enlisted, and then I got moved out to Washington State, which when I got there was a striker brigade being built, brand new.
What's a striker brigade?
So a striker brigade is it's basically based off of a vehicle. It's an 8-wheeled vehicle,
Okay.
It's like tank on wheels, moves very, very fast. When I remember seeing those the very first time when I was in Iraq back in 2005, and I was just like, oh, these dudes are the bad dudes. Like these guys would roll up. I mean, they would roll up four strikers. They'd roll up, you know, machine guns, soldiers coming out of the back of it. And just, it was like, as soon as they got there, it was just like, we're here to kick. Yeah, that's it. Right,
is this it here?
Those are them. Yeah.
So,
there's all kinds of different ones. Yeah.
So you got there and they were building this for the first time?
They were building a unit. They had these out in different areas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Other bases, but they were building a brand new battalion of these up in Fort Lewis, and I was basically being a part of that brand new unit being stood up. That's funny. That right there. There's some pictures of like this one right here with these soldiers. That's exactly what our vehicles look like right here.
This is crazy, man.
Yeah, these things will move 60 plus miles an hour through the desert. You know, they come with RPG cages. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay.
So what you got that machine gun up top there.
Yeah.
And down inside, there's a guy. He sits almost in like a pilot chair with screens. He doesn't even so that machine gun that's right there.
Yeah.
There's a guy controlling that from the inside.
Okay. Okay.
And that thing's deadly. that thing's deadly right there. So, and then that guy sticking out. That's where my location was in the vehicle.
So you were the guy sticking out.
Yeah, so that whoever usually sticking out of there is the highest ranking one in the vehicle, and is also the commander of that vehicle.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so part of me thinks the highest ranking guy would be the guy that is the most important in the unit, that should be kind of out there watching everything. But right. My other side of me also thinks the highest ranking guy should be protected. So does it make sense that you're like sitting at you're the only one out of the tank? Like, yeah.
It's me, and then in the back it usually have a couple soldiers. We call them air guards. They're kind of back there to watch our the rear end. For security. We basically are able to provide 360 degrees of security like that. So me sticking out, you would think that, but we're up there to see and control everything and anything that's going on. You get a lot being outside the vehicle. I can see everything. So no, we stick out there, and then like I said, I have 2 out in the back, and then inside is my whole squad of guys.
How many guys does that thing carry total?
You could squeeze about 7 to 9 in there, depending on what you do. Yeah, so
that's pretty awesome, man.
Usually you have a driver, you have and then you have your gunner, and then you have your squad, which is about 7-8 guys, and then me in there as well. So we're all in there together. So it's usually 4 of those vehicles per platoon. Mm-hmm. Each platoon carrying anywhere from 7 to 9 guys.
How long does those 9? Let's say there's 9 guys or 10 guys, whatever it is. How long do you guys stay together, or does it matter? Like, do you guys the 9 guys can rotate to any 9 guys?
They can potentially move, but like for me, for example, my guys were some of them who eventually became sergeants while I was over there. I got them when they were privates. So you're talking, I had some of my guys that had been with me for 3 to 4 years before. While we were in Afghanistan.
So you're building some really serious bonds in that time.
Oh yeah, you live together basically, because like those vehicles, especially when I was in Afghanistan, we kind of like we didn't really have a lot of places to go for where they put us, and those vehicles we can kind of pack those things full of stuff and live out of them for quite some time. And that's what we did. So yeah, you build a very serious bond. You sleep inside there together sometimes. I mean,
yeah.
That's a very serious bonding, and just like a team and guys that you really kind of they're your brothers.
Yeah. So what year, how many years were you back before you ended up leaving for Afghanistan?
So I got back in 2006, and then I was in Afghanistan in 2009.
Okay. And you said that was the hardest part. That was tougher than Iraq.
Oh,
What's Afghanistan like? Because every time I watch any type of news or anything about Afghanistan, all you hear about is the terrain and how hard it is to manage. And what was your first impressions on landing in Afghanistan and kind of being there?
So I landed in Kandahar Air Base. That's where my whole brigade was going to push out of, into all of our places in Afghanistan. So we basically pushed out of there, and we had a very long drive to the area that we were going to be, controlling. And I remember we left in the morning. So we kind of drove all through the city of Kandahar, which is it's like a city, just like a city you would see anywhere. Obviously not as not like LA or New York, but yeah, they have big buildings, like flea markets all over the streets. It's very chaotic with people, and there's no really laws out there, about how to drive and stuff like that. But, then we moved through there, and then as we're, going out to our area, we come out to an area that's like open desert. And then all of a sudden it's like, you look and there's looks like a damn jungle. That's right.
Really?
Like a jungle. Yeah. And that's all, I'm sure we'll eventually get into that story, and then all of a sudden I'm in the mountains, and like these vicious looking crazy mountains, and the terrain is it's crazy. It's just, there's everything there.
What is it about? Obviously how long were you in Afghanistan?
A year.
A year. So you obviously became familiar with some of the people there. Is the terrain bother them at all, or are they just used to it? Like, do they kind of breeze through it like it's nothing?
I tell people I've never seen people move so fast through the mountains in my entire life on foot.
Really?
How fast they can move through mountains is crazy.
And forgive me if this is silly, but I was thinking about the movie Lone Survivor.
Yeah, when I heard that part, I laughed, because I was like, I remember the first time being like, how do they move so fucking fast?
Because that's what they said in the movie, right?
They've lived there their whole entire lives.
Yeah,
it's nothing to them. We're not out. Even though when I was getting ready and we were in a training in a training area for over a month, where we were out there trying to we were out there climbing these mountains and things like that. And you still can't get on that level. I mean, the movie Survivor, those are Navy SEALs. Those guys are some of the best trained soldiers in the world, and for them to be like, how are they moving faster than us?
Yeah.
Me, we're not even on that level of training, and so and yeah, they just move quick.
So what was so tough about your deployment to Afghanistan? Why was your battalion hit the hardest, or as hard as it was?
Well, so we kind of got put into an area where there just hasn't been a lot of troops, which is crazy to think. When we got there, there was just a little 15, 20 man Canadian unit that just kind of was there to kind of just make sure that area didn't get overran. That's all they were for. They didn't really go out and do a lot of patrols. They didn't push out of the base. So when we started coming in, now we're an aggressive unit, so we're there to hunt down the Taliban and do our job.
Yeah.
And we started pushing up very quickly. And at first it was real funny, because at first when we started pushing out, they had never seen these vehicles. We were the first striker brigade to ever go into Afghanistan. The Taliban had never seen these vehicles in Afghanistan. So they didn't really know how to mess with us. Yeah. They would set bombs and stuff like that, and they'd hit us and we'd kind of laugh. What the hell was that? Really, and then they would be on their little dirt bikes and they would pop shots at us, and then we could chase them down in those vehicles. And they could, and not just that, when those vehicles are moving, that gun is so precise. It has a laser where it shoots out, buns back, and the gun, it elevates itself to where that target was. And we could be strafing them, or shooting warning shots out right in front of their motorcycles on the move.
Yeah.
And it just scared the shit out of them at first. They didn't know what the capabilities of those vehicles were. Yeah. And just over time, the Taliban, they're very smart. I don't discredit them. They're very intelligent. And they're very disciplined.
Can I, Sorry, I just want to interrupt for a second, because a lot of times you hear when I hear news reports and I hear people talking, they're like, "Oh, these 8th century cavemen, blah blah blah," and they're always kind of downplaying them like they're nothing. And I'm not saying that they're any better than that, but I always wonder to myself, is that a complete myth? Like, are they actually formidable fighters?
They're great fighters, and I can tell you, probably not a soldier that I could pull right here that's actually fought Taliban and say like they're terrible fighters.
Okay.
They're smart. They're more of like a guerrilla warfare type of fighters, where they're disciplined. They wait. They don't care to kill you. They actually would like to wound you and demoralize you, and that's what they do. They try to mentally break you down. That's what they don't care if they just take a foot off. That's great, because now it's demoralizing the unit.
Yeah.
We're now having to move a wounded guy. So now we've got guys out of a fight. So they don't care. And that's just how they are. And that's wild to say that, think people that think that, because, Russia at one point tried to invade Afghanistan, and Afghanistan pushed them out.
That's right. Yeah.
That area that, where the Afghanistan kind of like really tore up the Russians was the area that I was in, called the Arghandab River Valley.
Okay.
And that's where I was at, which we eventually is basically the jungle. Inside there was kind of like Vietnam. It's very tons of bushes and trees and water and secret paths and tunnels and real wild inside there. And what was crazy is that when we would maneuver through there, we would come across like kids and stuff like that, and you could see that Russian like in them, because the Russian would do the raping of the women and stuff happening.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And you'll see like an Afghani boy that's like bright blue eyes, rust hair.
Okay.
What the hell, and it's back at that time.
That's right.
No, the Taliban, and especially now, how are you going to downplay the Taliban now when what's going on right now is they just took over all of Afghanistan, and that's the guerrilla warfare in them. That's that guerrilla warfare tactics in them. Every single one of us, I haven't talked to one soldier that didn't sit there since all this happened and been like, "Oh man, I can't believe that happened." We all knew that was going to happen. When everybody kept thinking like the war's dying down, no, the Taliban will move out, and they will go sit somewhere, and they will train, and they will regroup, and they will wait it out for as long as they got to wait it out to come back. And we all knew they were going to come back. Everybody knew they were going to come back. I mean, many nights I sat, out in the area and watched vehicles, cross back in and out of the Pakistani border, in and out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at.
Yeah. Well, I actually watched a documentary about Afghanistan and the people there, and how one of the reasons they're so hard to fight is because of that Pakistani border, and how that region, that side of Afghanistan and that side of Pakistan is all Pashtun. And so they kind of help each other by going back and forth. So you can't chase them into Pakistan. So they just go there and wait, and then they come back and do their fighting. So I found that really interesting too. But then there's the other sides of Afghanistan is like it's very broken up as far as tribes, is what I was told. So was there any tribes or anything in Afghanistan, or any tribes that were friendly to the US?
Yeah, so that's the thing. We went into a lot of villages, and what's weird though is like, we have our maps, and we'll be like just walking on these maps and going off these maps, and all of a sudden we would just like literally walk right into a village that's not even on the map, because they're just gypsies. They move around a lot and whatever. But there's many. I mean, I posted a picture on my Instagram. I think it's up there, and you can see I'm sitting right in the middle, and I'm surrounded by Afghani people, and young, like what you would be considered military age fighters. And that very, very friendly village, you can see right there. Yeah.
This is you here?
That's them. And those are all military age fighters right there. Every single one of those guys, potentially could have been, Taliban. Obviously, I mean, you see the smiles, and if they were Taliban, they're not going to be like this with us. They wouldn't be like this. And I mean, that's a rocket launcher sitting by me, and we're just, we're hanging out. This is my lieutenant that's right here. His helmet right there. That's him.
This
talking
one,
to guys, and yeah. And
so why? Okay, so no Taliban fighters were friendly to the US.
No.
But why were? Sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to ask, why were these people friendly? Like, what did they want, or why did they see you as being an ally compared to the Taliban?
Well, the Taliban are very controlling, and they put a lot of terror and fear into people, and these people don't want that. They don't want that. They just want, honestly, I remember speaking to some, and them sitting there telling my interpreter, they don't really want us there, and they definitely don't want the Taliban there. they just want to be left alone and just live their lives, because that's just really what they do. Like,
Yeah.
they're kind of just like ants. They just they have a routine. They wake up, they do the same thing. This person does this, the women do this, the kids are out doing this. I mean, they just like their normal little life that they live. It's very peaceful and relaxing. But the Taliban, they're trying to change a lot of it, and the Taliban are trying to even change, like the beliefs of like the Quran and stuff like that. There would be times that we would go into villages, and I personally couldn't touch the Quran, but our interpreters could, and we would find certain pages ripped out of the Quran that the Taliban didn't believe in, type of thing, right?
Sure.
Those people didn't like that. They don't want that. The Taliban can come into a village and they can make this whole family like get out and take over, and and then if you don't abide by them, they'll take you out and cut your head off in front of your family, and they don't want that. But they also knew us being there and us coming to the village. As soon as we leave, the Taliban would come in and question and harm, and if there's any type of thing that they felt like they gave us any information, or that they were being friendly to us or whatever, they had the potential of being hurt or killed. And
so did you build an affinity for any of these people? Did you become close with any of them, or was it more, did you kind of keep yourself at a distance knowing that you couldn't really save them? Like what was your feeling with them?
We were always really, really friendly with them, even the ones that really didn't want to talk to us, just because out of fear of Taliban in the area seeing us. Sometimes we would be in the village where we would know that there's actually inside with these men, some of these guys are Taliban.
Okay.
We knew that we would know, but we wouldn't know, right?
Yeah.
But the only one that I got close to was my interpreter. He was a badass, man. He was a great guy, very intelligent. He hated the Taliban. His dad had been killed by the Taliban, and so I would say he would be the only one that I got close to. Obviously, there were some couple villages that we would go into more often than others. And you kind of get around the kids and stuff like that, and it's hard, especially for me. I had a newborn daughter at the time, and kind of going to the village, seeing like these little cute little girls, and they're just so innocent, man. It's hard to like not feel a certain way, especially just me being a new dad, and just me being like a human being, and we would play with the little kids and stuff like that, and it's hard, but you also understand, you're kind of there to do this job, and you kind of got to put that type of feelings to the side.
Yeah. So I want to come back to this in a minute, but since we're kind of headed down this road, I want to ask you about the events of the last couple months. Mm-hmm. So and I don't know if this is talked about. I mean, I hear some people talk about it, but it's just become really politicized. So how does it feel being somebody that was there, that, poured your heart and soul into it, and the guys you were with? How does it feel seeing it just kind of all disappear in a matter of like a month?
It's been one of the most, even now I can almost get emotional thinking about it, talking about it, because it's just been one of the most devastating things. It's like like a slap in the face for all of us. I lost my team leader. His name was Tom Troy. He was full Navajo Indian out of New Mexico. He was one of the first ones to get killed. He stepped on a pressure plate right in front of us, and we ended up in an area, and took multiple days of searching around to find pieces of him, to like,
Jesus,
say that, to say, so the way it works when stuff like that happens, they're basically like a dust off at the time. We don't have anything really of him to say that he's dead. Recovered, right? So we had been looking for 2 days while still fighting the Taliban into this, to the jungle area, like I was telling you, into the Arghandab River Valley.
Yeah.
And, and then we, at that same time, Tom, he got hit. And then once we got into a firefight with the Taliban, which was a very serious fight, it was a fight that lasted days. We had another platoon coming in to flank the Taliban, and they targeted Yanni, who was a radio guy. Mm-hmm. They basically had a command det IED, which was Taliban was watching, and he was targeted, knowing that that's our comms guy.
Yeah.
Pressed the button, detonated an IED on him. We had to go looking for him. Eventually, ended up finding Tom about a day or two later. Found him a long ways away, but found a very massive, good solid portion of our guy. And then Yanni the same. We got in there, found him, and had to fight back to get him back to an area where we could get him on a helo and get him home. so I see just a young guy like that who was just a badass, man.
Yeah.
Had no reason to even be there. He didn't even have to do anything. I mean, he could have lived a great life on his Indian reservation, and then Yanni, they're young. They're just young kids. And then, like I said, my unit, we got hit. My commander got killed, over there, along with 4 or 5 other guys that were in the vehicle. We had another vehicle with a mass casualty that lost about 5 or 6 guys. So it was just, it's like what, and it's like, and then, it's like, and then the hundreds that got wounded from my unit.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I even think of myself, it's like, I have to live with severe chronic physical and mental pain for the rest of my life. Like, there's not a day I wake up and I'm like, man, this is nice. Like, I feel great. I suck every day.
Yeah.
I can't walk Disneyland without starting to sweat from being in like severe amount of pain. And so this is like something I'm going to deal with for the rest of my life. And it's like, at the time I would get a lot of people, I get a lot of trolls on the internet about like me being a soldier and stuff over the years. Always, I got way more supporters than the guys that want to me, but they're like, oh, how does it feel to this is before this all happened. Like, how does it feel to, know you lost your leg for this, and this, and this, and got your body blown up for this, and it's all a waste. And I was like, I don't think it's a waste. Look at what we did. We're standing up the government. We got the military going on. The people, the Taliban are pushed out. Yeah. And now it's like, I have nothing to say. And I think that's the hardest thing. It's like, I can't say anything. I can't say anything but like, you're right. And I don't, and I'm just, it's hard. That's hard for me to swallow, to tell these people like, yeah, you're right. I did go over there and legitimately fight for like nothing. My guys legitimately died for nothing. So we went to a place and guys died, and guys are now, living the rest of their lives miserable for nothing. And I think that's the hardest thing. And I think that's where a lot of us are having a hard time. It's a big pill to swallow because this whole entire time we've all been told the reasons on why we're there. And it wasn't just for, just us because of what happened in 9/11 and stuff like that and terrorism and stuff. It was to help this country. Yeah. And it was these people that literally depended on us. Yeah. And we just left them there and they're getting fucking slaughtered.
I think those people that are trolling you, I don't think they take the time to listen to somebody like you tell the story about what it is, because maybe they're just thinking of it in one aspect, like, oh, Americans have invaded this country. But, showing the photo that we just showed with people around you smiling and laughing. And I don't think they consider that side of it. Because I think if they did, they wouldn't say those things. I mean, there's always going to be assholes that are going to say something regardless.
It's but like we go into these villages, like just smash through these villages and stuff. That's not how it happens. Now here's, does civilian casualties happen? Absolutely. Sure. There has never been a war where there's probably not a civilian casualty. Shit happens. It's the way it is. But it's not like we go in there and accidentally a little girl got blown up or accidentally a little boy got shot or something. And we're just like, we're sorry. Man, we are doing everything we can to basically like make it right with that family. And is there any type of food, money, or gifts you can give somebody to replace a kid or a dad? Or no, there's not. But it's not like we're like, suck, sorry, and we move along. Yeah. No, I mean, we've accidentally killed dogs and stuff like that on accident. We go in there and we try to make it right and ask them like, how can we, what can we do for you guys? Yeah. I mean, there's times that we're taking. I mean, my captain got fucking killed going from our base to Afghan hospital. He took a clique of people with him, medical people, all kinds of people, to go there, a dentist, and just to provide all this dental and medical care for free. Yeah. Like he wanted to go out there. They wanted to go out there and do this mission. Sure. And he, on his way out there, he got blown up. Right. And it's just like the people that say things that they don't really know. Yeah. They don't really know like how we felt about those people or anything like that. They don't know. They're just assuming.
I feel like the
same Vietnam. We weren't going there. And I'm not saying anything bad about Vietnam vets, but that's what there was a lot of bad stuff that happened over there. Yeah. And we weren't doing that over there. We were really at one point fighting the Taliban, and then a lot of like humanitarian stuff was going on as well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, I would have my family and friends send me pencils and color crowns and things to give to these kids. And I remember the very first time on a patrol, I couldn't understand what this kid was wanting so bad. And it was a fucking pen. He wanted a pen so he could write.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't have that kind of shit over there. And he just literally wanted to have something to write with, and that's such, it just makes you think like, damn, man, these poor kids have no idea like how we live. They don't have a fucking clue. And it's just like, and they're so ecstatic about a pin.
But
and
I think
it'll make you think a lot. It'll make you think differently for sure.
yeah, the same goes in reverse though. I feel like people here don't know how good we have it. You know what I mean? So
100%. And so you go over there, and I remember just like, damn, man, these people, like, they have no water, no electricity. Like they live so rough, but are legitimately happier than probably some of the richest people in this country.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's fucking crazy, right? To think that, and that's it, and that's all they want. That's all they want. They're just like, it's such like salvation over there for them, and they're just in a place where they just want to be left the fuck alone and live their life. They don't want to be controlled or told by anything, anybody. They just have their villagers. They got their village elders, and and it works for them, and that's just how they like it. They're not looking to grow and be bigger or do anything that, anything. They're content.
So what do you like you and others like you do now when the American government has just decided that they're pulling out, they're not going to do anything, and they've left weapons, and they've left, I saw a report today, they left, I think it's called a biometric data, something where they can actually scan someone's like eyes and see if they like who they are, and they're part of a database.
Yeah, we had those where we were building this database when I got there.
Okay.
They really kind of started using those when we got there. Yeah, you're talking, we scan eyes and everything over there with these, like, this black box, that we carry. We would scan their eyes, and then it would pull it up on a database. And that was sometimes, how we were tracking and finding certain people. Yeah.
But they said they've left those behind now, so the Taliban can use those to see who's helped the U.S. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy to think about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
happen as interpreters or any type of contractor, they were able to come work for us, but coming in, they would have to get scanned and put into a database. So then, like, tomorrow or the next day, whenever they came back, they would get scanned and pull them up on that database. So now they have free reign on tracking down people. And the thing is like, here's what's weird is, like, I could say some name over here in this province, this name, and he'd be like, oh, that guy's over in this province, and it's hundreds of miles away, but they fucking know each other. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah. And they can track you down. It's crazy. And it's heartbreaking to know that there's people over there that are having to hide because they know that if the Taliban find them, they're going to get killed. I mean, the Taliban, from the news that I've seen, have been going house to house and hurting, killing, torturing, cutting people's arms off that had anything that did any type of help with any type of, United Nations forces that went against the Taliban.
Can I ask you a flip side question, just to play devil's advocate for a second? And this is not, my beliefs aside. So for the people that say, well, how long were you going to stay there? And what, this was going to be inevitable no matter what, or those kind of things. Like, whenever you leave, like you said, like, the Taliban are just going to wait you out anyway. Yeah. So what do you say to those people? Because if there's no type of withdrawal that would help, then how do you get out of there?
Afghanistan, the problem with that. Okay, so why is Iraq so great still? Iraq, I mean, when I say great, they're handling their shit over there. Yeah, they're going to have their religious wars and all this. We have our own shit going on in the States. So they have their own stuff going on. But there's not a what has happened to Afghanistan has not happened to Iraq, right? Sure. Okay, so here's the reason why. Afghanistan never got the full force of us. How we went to Iraq, they never got that over there. I mean, how could I in 2009, barely in 2009, get to an area that there had never been US troops yet? Yeah. Why? In an area that is known Taliban stronghold. Yeah. Why? Well, it's because Afghanistan never got the full focus. Mm-hmm. We didn't have we didn't have that many as the troops as we did in Iraq. We flooded Iraq. Yeah. Flooded it and wiped that place out of everything that was Saddam Hussein related, Al Qaeda related, right? Mm-hmm. When I never felt like Afghanistan got that full thing, and not just that. It's okay at every major war outside of Vietnam. Okay, what did we always do? We always left a U.S. military stronghold there for that reason. For that exact reason. I mean, how can you not look back on history and be like, oh, back in World War I, World War II, we put bases. I mean, we still have bases in Italy. We have bases in Germany. I mean, why? Because it allows us to have some type of control. Now, do we need control in Germany or Italy now? No. But now what it's given us is a way to get to point A to point B quicker,
Sure.
right? Build an ally. Afghanistan could have been a very big ally for us.
True.
Iraq could have been a very big. Yeah, maybe they didn't really want us there, but guess what? I would have been as a president. I would have been like, well, you guys aren't ready for us to leave yet. If we leave here, you're going to get overran, and you guys are going to get wiped out. And that's exactly what happened. And that's sad that a private, brand new in the Army that's maybe done one deployment in Afghanistan could sit back and be like, man, if we leave this, they're going to get overran. But you got these guys, president, congressmen, senators, that they don't even fucking know that. But I got a private who's 18, 19 years old that knows that. And the reason is because he's fucking there. They're not. And that's that's the problem. And if we would have stayed and had an established place in Afghanistan, one, it gives us a really good area to kind of have somewhat of control of like the Middle East, in the sense of not for oil, like some people say. I mean, that was the best thing, that everybody's like, oh, how does it feel to go there and know that we fought for oil? I never seen one oil rig ever in my entire life in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I live in a place right here where I live at now where it's all oil. Everybody here works in the oil fields. I haven't been like, hey man, we're getting sent to Afghanistan to pump oil over there. Never seen it. So I thought it was always funny that people said that. No, what we should have been, it should have been there to have like some type of like control, or I guess I don't want to say control, security of the Middle East. Yeah. Right? Because and we have big bases there, like Bagram Air Force Base, Kabul, Kandahar, especially Bagram. Bagram, it was so massive. That's where they should have held everything down at. And that's where they should have kept a lot of troops at. But at the end of the day, they should have put a massive influx of soldiers in Afghanistan to really go in there and kill the Taliban. Let's be realistic. If we really wanted to, when the Taliban were all in there, we could have lined troops all up and down the Pakistani borders and all these things, and we didn't. No, we allowed them the freedom to go back and forth and conduct themselves how they basically like they kind of wanted to.
Sure.
And I think that's the problem, and that's where it's sad at. Like, was it inevitable? I don't think so. I think would you always have had fighters? I think you would have fighters, but I think that you could have pushed them out, or you could have kept them at bay for a lot longer.
What do you think it is? Like, one more question about this, and then we'll move on, because I don't want to make the whole podcast about Afghanistan. But just out of curiosity, do you think it's just like, because I mean, this is probably the most simplistic viewpoint, but do you think it's just they don't care? Because the way they're behaving is like people that don't care. They're just like, you know what? We don't care about our weapons that we've left there. We don't care about the allies that we've left there. We don't care that Taliban is going to overrun everything. We're just going to leave.
Right. Yeah. Here's what's crazy, right? Is like, I posted this the other day. I said, if my fucking soldier lost a poncho, right? A poncho. If he lost a poncho, oh, he'd get fucked up. Yeah. That guy he would have to pay for it. He would have, but they can go and leave helicopters, insane amount of weapons. And when I say weapons, you guys, these are not like pea shooters.
Yeah.
I've seen some special op weapons. I've seen rockets that can knock helicopters out of the sky. I mean, they're fucking flying helicopters. I mean, I saw a video that the Taliban are joyriding in a Black Hawk. Now, at the same time, I get that people are like, they got fucking helicopters now. Now, what can they do with those? They can fly back and forth from Pakistan now. They can load up cargo. They can go to Pakistan, grab so-and-so high-end person, bring him to Afghanistan, fly. I mean, they got a lot of maneuverability now. Now, do I think that is going to help them in the sense to like cause more problems for us? No, because we could easily go over there and send Apaches and things and just knock them out of the sky. Why we're not going over there and knocking these things out of the sky, I don't fucking know. I don't get it. I don't have a fucking clue. We still have Apaches over there. There's still some U.S. troops over there, and because I have a friend that's over there right now. I posted a picture. He's my last post. You know, they're the ones in the Chinook right there that are in Afghanistan, and they're moving and helping travel, getting the civilians. They're also the ones that went into the embassy. Those guys right there. They're also the ones that went into the embassy and got everybody loaded up in the embassy and put in that Chinook right there and took to safety. So, you know, these guys right there, they're over there right now. That guy, yeah, that's their Chinook. That's the embassy that's their Chinook, and that's the picture that's been all over the internet of them going onto the embassy and getting the people over there, the ambassador and all them out of there, and they're over there still. And you know, and I mean, that's got to be somewhat intimidating for them, knowing that, they're flying around and, there's Taliban and stuff that got Blackhawks and stuff in the sky and rockets that can shoot them out of the sky. And, like he said, there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of U.S. forces over there. So it's very, at any given point, he said that if Afghanistan, if Taliban wanted to overrun where they're at, they could.
I'm going to ask you another stupid question. How does the Taliban learn to fly the Black Hawk?
The internet.
Are you serious?
And us.
What do you mean? And what do you mean? And you?
We taught some, probably, we more than likely, we taught the Afghan soldiers. Afghan soldiers ended up teaching them.
Okay, I see. And
the internet's full of everything. I mean, that's literally, when I was over there, that's how the Taliban started. That's how they figured out how to defeat our vehicles. They know. Really? So the way I got hit was they use pressure plates. So what happens is, as a vehicle or a person walks and it hits this pressure plate, the bomb detonates.
Is a pressure plate the same thing as a mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
But these are like built by them, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So what they started figuring out is they knew the distance from that front tire to where that person standing out of that hatch, who they know is the highest ranking one, they knew the distance between there. So they would put the pressure plate up here and the explosives back behind. So realistically, we would drive right over the explosives.
Yeah.
And then it would be underneath, like where I was standing. That's how it hit me. Is the pressure plate hit the front tire and explosives hit right underneath directly and opened up my vehicle like a can opener.
Jeez. Okay, and, so let's get into your injury specifically. So that's what happened to you.
Yeah.
What is that? Okay, so now we know how it happened, but I don't know, without trying to get you to relive anything, how does that, like, what happens? How does that feel? Like, what is going through your mind at that point?
Well, I was actually supposed to be going home. I was already packed up, ready to go, because I had gotten there a little bit earlier than my guys. So I kind of was like, no, I'll go on this mission, no big deal. It's just, we're going to go out and do a night patrol in an area where we knew the Taliban had been kind of like at. It was near the Pakistani border, and there had been like IEDs and stuff. And so we were out there trying to, do our mission and do our job. And we were just out, just rolling around on a night ops, and more just like a night patrol. Mm-hmm. And so I was the second vehicle in my squad. And so I remember us driving out, and it's open desert. This is basically open desert. It's like 2:00 in the morning or something like that.
Sure.
And I remember us going down into a ditch, a river ravine. And then the vehicle in front of me, he went up and out, and he went to a little bit to the right. And then our tactics are to stay in each other's trails as we're moving, because sure. The vehicle in front has rollers. Yeah. Because we knew that what they were doing is they were putting explosives out here, detonating here. So we had these rollers that put out pressure, and they would roll. So if they did hit a roller, it would detonate in front of the vehicle and kind of just like lift it up and set it back down, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened was that because we went down in that ravine and bucked up out, and the truck came down, my driver just got a little bit out of the tracks of the vehicle in front of us, and then there happened that the IED was sitting right there, and just like that, front tire hit the pressure plate, the explosive detonated directly underneath me, and just opened the vehicle wide open. And so the way it worked for me was I didn't think I'd gotten hit. I was very good at finding IEDs. I have tons of videos of me finding bombs, blowing them up myself, and stuff like that. I've been doing it for so long. And when it first happened, I remember just kind of like waking up, and I didn't even know I was hit. I thought we had rolled our vehicle. Yeah. Because the last thing I remember is the vehicle was way up in the air. That's kind of like what I remember. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, we rolled our vehicle. And so I'm yelling at the guys to, kind of wake up. They were all unconscious. And then that's when I could start smelling the explosives.
Sure.
And I could tell my guys were out cold. I saw a lot of smoke happening. And, my commander and a whole vehicle had gotten hit by a massive pressure plate, and the vehicle caught on fire, and they died burning alive inside of it. Okay. So it was all a very scary thing for us after that. Well, I started screaming at my guys to wake up and get out of the truck. Sure. So they started waking up, and they started getting out. And as they went to get out, I went to like move and to get out, and I realized my legs weren't working. And I just was like, fuck, my legs are blown off. And so I had my helmet light on, and I took my glove off my hand. I'm like rubbing and I could feel my legs, but they weren't working. And I just remember like looking at my hand, I could just see all kinds of blood, dirt, battery acid.
When you, sorry to interrupt. When you say they weren't working, is it like a paralyzed feeling, or were you just like in so much pain you couldn't move, or what was?
I felt like paralyzed feeling. Like
you couldn't get them to do anything.
No. And so I'm sitting there like, fuck, I could feel them. I'm just like, they're just mangled. Yeah. And I mean, obviously I couldn't see what my legs looked like.
Sure.
So I remember then trying to reach up. We had these handles that were strapped to the ceiling of our vehicle. And I went to go try to grab a handle with this hand, and this hand wasn't working. And so I was like, fuck. So I was like, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. And then my guys realized, like, hey, where's Sergeant Mitchell at? He's not.
Oh, they had woken up.
They were already out. They got out.
Oh, they got, okay.
Yeah, they started pulling security, getting everything out.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I see, two of my soldiers run in the vehicle because it's a big hatch. And they run in, they see I'm just fucking trapped down by shit. And I'm like, yo, you guys, I can't fucking move.
Yeah.
And so they turned their lights on, and I could see the look on their face like I was fucked up, And one came behind me and grabbed me underneath, and the other one grabbed me by my legs, and they just kind of picked me up. And when they picked me up, I remember seeing my right leg just kind of free swinging around. So I had dislocated my knee completely, fully.
Yeah.
And it was just swinging, and then my other leg was still there. It was just, you could just tell I was bleeding, and I was pretty bad. And then I had shrapnel because of the way it came through it. All the shrapnel went underneath my vest, and I got peppered basically.
Sure.
And then my arm was swelling very badly. So I had compartment syndrome in my arm. And so
what's compartment syndrome?
It's just when you have I guess it was just like internal swelling.
Okay.
And where the body starts. So my arm actually got like the size of my leg, and they had to cut me from here to here to relieve the pressure, or else I would have lost my arm. Right.
Sure.
And so I remember them just getting me out, bringing me around the vehicle, setting me on the ground. And that's kind of like, I was like, okay, how bad am I? My doc's like, you're pretty bad. We got to get you we got to get you out of here. And he just started working on me, giving me IVs, giving me morphine. And then, we waited for a chopper.
So, Casey, can I ask you, at that point, is the leg still intact?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was just mush, basically.
Yeah. When you say mush, like everything, like the bones are all broken and.
Yeah, it's just crushed. And so I had compartment syndrome on that leg as well. And so, so basically I'm sitting there, they're working on me. My driver, he had a severe brain injury, because he was in a hatch. And when the explosion went off, the pressure hit his head, hit the top of the hatch so hard that there was an indent in his Kevlar from the handle of the thing. So he had like some brain stuff going on. He lived, my whole vehicle lived. They put me, couple of my guys, they were not leaving. They got banged up pretty bad, but they just stayed, just hard ass dudes. And so my driver, we got medevaced out, and I was in and out. I was in and out for a while. And then I remember just kind of getting to the base. And as soon as we get to the base, I remember just getting ready to pull me out of the helicopter. I just remember just telling him, don't you fucking drop me, man. Cause I was in so much pain. I was like, don't fucking drop me. And no, next thing you know, I'm inside the hospital, and then I'm talking to some people, and the sec def at the time, Admiral Mullen, he kind of came in, because I had met him a bunch of times, and he had seen that I had heard that I was hit, and came in and kind of seen me and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, I was just in a long road to trying to stay alive, basically.
So so it wasn't just your leg, like were they worried that you might die? Like,
yeah, they were, when I got to Germany, they were almost going to fly my family out because I didn't know if I was going to make it or not. Jeez. When they were about to fly my family, because they didn't know I had severe blood clotting going on. Yeah. I went unstable when I went from Kandahar to I think it was Kandahar. I was getting ready to fly out, and then I got stopped in Bagram because I went unstable, so they had to stabilize me in Bagram, and then from Bagram to Germany. They got me there, and then in Germany I was just a mess. I had severe blood clotting going on. They couldn't put a PICC line in me because I would just clot. And so they didn't know. They didn't really know how things were gonna go for me. And then I remember quite a bit of stuff, man. I remember waking up at one point in an airplane and just asking for like some water. And I remember just kind of like I can like vividly remember just seeing a bunch of beds with soldiers like stacked like cots. Yeah. And I remember just this red light,
that's in the plane.
In the airplane, flying. I remember that. And then I remember being transported once I landed in Washington, D.C. at Walter Reed. They were transporting a few of us on an ambulance, kind of like a transport ambulance. I remember seeing this girl. She had her leg blown off, and she was sitting there. And I remember trying to tell her like, "Hey, it's going to be okay," and trying to like just talk to her a little bit. And then I remember just going through these big entrance doors of the hospital and just seeing all these all the state flags and everything, and all the medical personnel there that are there to welcome us and let us know, like, you know, just kind of try to keep. And then after that, I don't remember anything. I was in ICU for a few months.
Yeah.
And then, you know, but.
So at what point during that stretch, so fast forward, at what point do they wake you up and go, hey, we're going to have to amputate your leg?
So I voluntarily amputated my leg.
Can you explain how that happened?
So, yeah. So basically my leg was so badly damaged. They were trying to save it. It was limb salvage at the time. I had this big halo around my leg. I had all these pins going in it to try to save the bone, get the bones to kind of get back together. There was like a couple of options. You know, they said I could keep my leg, but they're going to do all these fusions and all these things. And, you know, my mobility isn't going to be very good, but I'll have my leg. Potentially down the road, I could have to have more surgeries or even the possibility of an amputation. There was so much negative about it. And what was crazy is like, when I was going through my rehabilitation, I would go down to the amputee ward. That's where I would do my rehab at. And it was all the guys that were there with amputees, you know, missing one leg, missing both legs. I mean, there was guys in there missing every limb. You know, they would get moved, like they got literally moved around with the bed sheet. That's how they got around.
Jesus. Yeah.
Sad to see. And people don't even realize like what's going on in there. And, you know, and I was down in there and I'm just like watching some of these amputees that have been there recovering for a little bit now. And I'm just like, man, they're fucking getting it. Like, they're moving, they're doing shit, you know? And, you know, I just kind of got to a place where I was obviously the guy in the ward with the leg still, everybody, you know, so they kind of made fun of me and stuff like that. You know, all soldiers fuck around. Yeah. It's kind of like having a leg. You're like the misfit, man. Like you don't even belong here type of thing, you know? Yeah. So, you know, but honestly, it just, I just knew my baby was going to be walking soon. I wanted to be like the dad that was there with her, taking her first steps. And I'm like, I can't even fucking walk, you know, and that sucked.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, made the decision to like, you know, say, hey, I want to just amputate this leg and work and get better and potentially hopefully have more mobility than I could and not be in so much pain anymore.
Yeah.
And so I went and talked to the doctor. He said, okay, you know, that's your choice. You know, you're obviously with this injury, you're able to make that choice, but you have to see, you know, I had to see like 3 different psychiatrists to make sure I'm mentally making the right decision.
Sure.
Talk to my family about it. And then I just decided to go ahead and do it and went through with it. And I remember, I think it was like less than 24 hours after the amputation of my leg, I felt 100 times better. You
felt how better mentally or physically?
Mentally and physically. I just felt like all the pain had been cut off me, literally. And I mean, I was just moving around. I was just more like, okay, now I get to recover. Now I get to kind of finally, okay, now the recovery really starts, you know. Sure. And then I was in a race to, you know, beat my daughter to walking, you know.
Yeah.
Take her steps. Yeah. So that was just kind of like the goal of mine at the time was, okay, I want to get as healthy as I can, as fast as I can, to like make sure that when my daughter takes her first steps, I get to take those steps with her. Yeah. And that was the goal, and that's what ended up happening, you know. And
can I ask you, is this your other knee in this photo here?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now.
Because this looks like they just put screws anywhere. Like it doesn't even look like there's any rhyme or reason.
It's a big fucking mess.
It just seriously looks like there's 3 over here, one's going this way, 2 are going this way. Like,
oh yeah. So basically, when I dislocated my knee, that's my other leg outside of my amputated side, I blew every ligament out, blew both meniscus out. So that's where a lot of people are like, "Wait, you're doing all that powerlifting with a knee like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's crazy." So the funny thing is that when I go to squat, unless I have a freak amount of weight on my back, I can't get past the legal spot.
Oh, so you're forcing your body down with weight.
My body down, yeah. Yeah. So Ed Cohen, he laughs because I remember when I was in Australia and I was warming up, all the guys are like, "Ed, he's not going low enough." And wait a minute. And it's usually right around like 500 plus pounds. Once I put that on my back, I'll squat down and that weight just kind of helps me break the plane where I'm supposed to be. I can't do it on my own.
Sure.
A lot of guys can get a bar and they can do it. And they can do it standing. I can't do that.
Dude,
I can't even squat no-handed. Here's what's weird is I can't, like, if you were to say, Casey, get up and just do a squat, I can't do it with balance. I'll fall or I'll fall off balance. But with hundreds of pounds, I'm more stabilized.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. I know. No. It doesn't, but it works, you know? And I remember when I went out on the stage, and you know, everybody was like concerned if I was going to make depth, and I'm just burying these squats, you know, lower than some of these athletes, you know, and it's just a funny story because I can't deal with it, but I'm having a lot of complications with this knee. I'm actually supposed to have a potential full knee replacement end of this year, beginning of the new year. I've been trying to just wait it out so I can continue to do what I'm doing. My knee kind of did a weird shift about a couple weeks ago, where the bottom part went this way and the top part went this way. The ligaments are still intact, but from just over so many years of just doing what I'm doing, the bone grinding is finally giving way, and it's just kind of made it slide. So if you watch some of my deadlifts, I look like I have a bow in my leg, and that's just because the bottom part's going this way and the other part's going this way, so it looks like this bow. And so my doctors, they really don't want me to do this upcoming competition and stuff like that because the potential of the knee blowing out. And if it does blow out, it could be very catastrophic because there's so much pressure inside.
Be way worse. Yeah.
Bad. But I'm just like trying to knock this last one out in October, I hope. So,
dude, why are you so strong? Like, what the fuck? What's you're talking about squatting 500 pounds. What's your max squat?
I think my max squat's like 560 something.
Dude, that's insane. You're squatting 560 on, you know, with an amputated leg and then with basically no knee. Like, I don't even, it doesn't even make sense. I think I have a theory, and correct me if I'm way off. I feel like because of what you went through, I feel like, I'll take myself, for example, right? If I'm squatting like heavyweight, right? I know when I get to 500, my brain starts to mess with me. Yeah. Like, you know, this is heavy, be careful. You don't want to get injured, blah, blah, blah. Right. I find that the guys who lift the most don't have that mental barrier, mental block. I wonder if because of what you've gone through and how bad it was, that maybe this kind of thing doesn't scare you at all.
No. And that's the thing. It's a good thing. It's a scary thing to be that way. Cause I'm not really scared of anything. I mean, I just felt like I have been through some of the worst shit and the most pain, like the pain that I went through. You know, I was in the hospital for 3 years. I was in the hospital, and I've had 40, 50 damn surgeries, you know, and the amount of pain that I could describe is you couldn't even imagine.
So you're still going through that pain now though?
Yeah. So every time, so a lot of people be like, man, why you get so like just crazy angry, like hyped before you deadlift or you squat and stuff. I'm like, yeah, because I know the amount of pain I'm about to feel. Every time I pull a heavy deadlift, it hurts. Every time I squat, it's painful. Squatting is probably the most intimidating, scariest thing that I do for me, which is funny because, you know, when I post squat videos, they don't do well on social media. And I'm just like, motherfuckers, you guys don't understand. Like, it's so much harder. Deadlifting's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. But that squat is so intimidating for me. And it's just, I literally have to just black out and not even think about nothing because the potential of like what could happen is very scary. And I don't know. I don't know what keeps me going and doing it. It's the challenge for sure. But it's also like, I just feel like I'm now at a place where I was kind of given this, I don't want to say gift, but this mentality to kind of just show people like no matter what, how hard shit is or the things you've been through or your disabilities or fears or whatever, like, you know, it's capable. It's capable of happening. You know, I squatted for a whole year on a box squat. I would do box squats. I did that for a whole year before I finally hit a free squat for the very first time. To have the confidence and the strength and the mental capacity to like, you know, and the form, my form, I guess, to be able to do a squat. It wasn't like one day I was like, you know, I'm going to squat. No, it was a lot of training physically and mentally to get myself capable of doing that type of squat at a competitive level. You know, and then the strength just came and the fear kind of went away. And then I was just like, you know, I just kind of like, I think I've just become like I've just normalized myself to, this is the way that my body is. And, you know, I live my life with the same prosthetic, the same leg, you know, I do everything on this leg. I mean, there's a lot of guys that'll switch out legs for certain things and do things. I just do it all on this one. It's just, like I said, I think I've just built myself to understand, like, this is just the way it is for me.
How long have you been powerlifting now? Like since you got back from Afghanistan, how long has it been?
4 or 5 years now.
4 or 5 years. And you're dealing with all this pain. So when you're deadlifting, you said you have excruciating pain. Is there any way you can describe any of that for people listening? Because I'm like, most people would think, man, if it's that painful, like you wouldn't do it. Like you'd just be like, this is too much. Like, and you said yourself, like, people ask you, like, why are you doing it if it's that painful? But is it just to show other people, like, are you getting a high, or is it a reward for you to show other people that there are no limits?
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't know if I would be, I honestly don't know if I'd be doing this if there wasn't a way to like show people like what it is that I do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's just like yesterday, I got this long message from this guy about like how he's 40 something years old, had all this stuff going on. I've just made him like his whole mindset change where he's now powerlifting and doing things that like at one point he never thought he was going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And that is because sometimes people just need to see something to believe something. You know, if you could sit there and be, you know, like if I sit here and my daughter gets older and I describe, for example, and I describe Muhammad Ali.
Sure.
I can describe it, but then when you see it, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it's different, right? And so when you see something, or you see somebody that is like just gone through the struggles and things of me, like me in my life, to come back and bounce back fully to be, you know, competing at a decent level and lifting decent numbers, you know, it's just like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah.
But then it gets even better, right? When you have a perfectly healthy person who's just lazy, mentally not there, or whatever, be like, damn, man, I feel like a piece of shit because this guy is out here going through pain, doing this shit, no excuses, and here I am, healthy as shit, and I'm just laying on my ass.
I felt like that watching your videos. I was laying there. I'm like, I think I'm going to take a day off today. And I'm like, fucking Casey's deadlifted 600 pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
A lot. People are like, man, I was going to take the day off from the gym, but fuck, you know. And it's, you know, my own dad, you know, my dad pushed me a lot when I was a young kid, and he's always been like, you know, I felt like mentally like pretty strong dude. And, you know, as he got older, he got out of shape. He got overweight. He got so overweight at one point, it basically made himself become diabetic.
Yeah.
You know, then he had a 5-way bypass open heart surgery. And after that surgery, I was pissed. Yeah. I was so mad at him. You know, I'm like, I remember just like yelling at him in his bed and being like, Dad, you fucking caused this on yourself. Like, you fucking did this. This is self-inflicted. Like, are you like, you're basically like trying to commit suicide. Like, this is on you, man. I said, that's fucked up. I said, you're I remember just yelling. I'm like, you're selfish. Yeah. And I mean him like, what the hell? And I said, you have me, you know, I'm your son. I'm not trying to bury you anytime soon. Do you not want to see my daughter walk down the aisle? Like, do you not want to see her do things in life? And like, what the because you want to eat like biscuits and gravy and shit. My family's country. You want to eat grandma's biscuits and gravy and shit. I love grandma's biscuits and gravy, but damn, you know, and it really hit my dad seeing me get up that upset and me being like, and you see me go through all this shit and all this pain, and I live my life like this, and you're supposed to be my dad. Yeah. You know, and it really hit him. And next thing you know, my dad had lost 60 plus pounds, you know, went from walking a block to jogging like miles, you know, and it's awesome. No longer diabetic, gets his heart checked. He's healthy as shit. He's lived a lot more years now since then. And that's kind of like where I'm like, that's where I now just try to be with myself. Is there's been many times where I wake up on the edge of my bed and I'm like, I'm in so much fucking pain, and it's not just pain from this, but it's pain from powerlifting and doing what I'm doing. I'm like, why the fuck do I do this? This sucks. Like, it sucks. You know, when I got blown up, my back was fractured, my legs were fucking mangled, my arm was blown up. You know, it's just, that's all, like, your back and your legs, that's powerlifting, man. And that shit sucks, you know, and I feel it, you know, for days. And then somehow I get this message from somebody, or I go read an old message from somebody, and I'm like, this is why I fucking do this shit. This is why I do it. And, you know, and I may not become the greatest power lifter, or I may not become like the most well-known, you know, but like there's a lot of people's lives who I felt like I've changed. And that's what keeps me kind of like getting up and doing this shit, you know. People are like, why are you doing this when your knee could like blow out? Well, if it blows out, it blows out. I could be a perfectly healthy athlete, go bust a squat, my knees blow. And
you could still have that same injury,
Why the fuck am I, you know what I mean? Like, is my risk a little higher? Sure. But you can't put limitations and your own fear into yourself. You know, if shit's gonna happen, shit's gonna happen regardless. True. You know, and you just don't know when it's gonna happen. So I don't know. I just don't live my life like that.
I want to ask you, because you said when you were in the military, they kind of knew you were leadership material. And hearing you speak about post-injury and powerlifting and talking to your dad, it's all kind of the same person. Where did the leadership work ethic where did that come from? Like, why is it so strong with you? Because it doesn't seem like there's any give in your attitude.
I would say my dad, like I said, I remember when I was very young, you know, I grew up like just an athlete, but I was a wrestler. I wasn't a great wrestler. I was a good wrestler, but I was very dedicated, you know, and I was that guy that like my dad would wake me up early in the morning, and I lived about 8 miles from my school. My dad would wake me up and say, you know, get your ass up, we're going. And I would go run from my house to my school. And my dad would follow me in this silver gray Intrepid car. And he would follow me, and he would be at a certain miles an hour. And if I slowed down, that car would run it.
Oh, come on.
That's serious. And my dad could tell you.
How old were you?
I was in high school. And you know, and then I would remember we would get to the gym, and my dad would be like, all right, get on the scale. And I remember getting on the scale with like a sandwich. I was so hungry, and I'd get on the scale with a sandwich to see if I'd make weight with that sandwich. And if I didn't make weight, my dad would be like, well, I guess either one or two things. You could run another 2 or 3 miles and come back and weigh yourself with that sandwich, or you don't eat the fucking sandwich. And I would get my shit and go run because I really wanted that fucking sandwich. And I just feel like that's just where it's kind of just built, because when I'm doing that, I was telling my other guys, you know, the other guys in high school, hey, you know, or I'd gather them up, we got to go do this, we got to run, you know. And then obviously getting into the military, that whole like that mindset just kind of went with me, as far as like, I just want to eat this fucking sandwich, you know, and I got to walk these 25 miles to eat that sandwich, you know, type of thing. And that's kind of like, I've always just remembered that, just fucking standing on that scale with that little last sandwich. And you know, like I said, there was a point where I was going to go wrestle at this major tournament. And I was a good wrestler, not a great wrestler. My very first match of the day was against one of the top 3 guys in the state of California wrestling, right? I ended up almost beating him because I was so fucking conditioned. I almost came back to beat him. Then I lose barely, which people freaked out. I get put into a consolation bracket. I now have to wrestle my way back. I wrestled all fucking day, ended up wrestling a top 10 ranked guy in the state, and ended up beating him and placing in that tournament. It wasn't because I was a great wrestler, it was because I was dedicated. And just that mentality that I had, it was just because I knew how important this tournament was, and I did everything I could to make sure I went there to be the best that I was. And those guys that were better than me didn't show up the best that they were that day, and I beat them. So that's just how my life has just been ever since, all through the military. And then obviously, you know, getting put into leadership roles and not just that, like I really wanted to still be in the military. I was a lifer. I made rank real well. I did real well, never in trouble. I loved everything about it. And I never wanted to get out. And, you know, now it's like I'm out, but I still feel like I can still like be a leader to people.
A different way.
A different way. And and don't get me wrong, I'm not fucking perfect. I make mistakes, you know, but I still try to be a leader in my own way, and try to stay to like my beliefs and like how I go about things. And, you know, I've come up with this saying that, you know, I would rather be crushed by hundreds of pounds than to one day die and not know what I was capable of. It's a saying to me. I'd rather know that, you know, when people are just like, well, that's stupid, you know, well, fuck, I want to know what I'm capable of, man. And a lot of people are starting to kind of live by that. And you can put that into your head that, you know, like you with the squat, you know, if I like Ronnie Coleman, like what's Ronnie Coleman's only regret? He didn't do that for another fucking rep. People say, well, now he's in a fucking wheelchair. I'm like, yeah, but that guy lived the greatest life. He's legendary. So you know how many bodybuilders now bodybuild because of Ronnie Coleman? I mean, it's like you can't have, there's just so much respect there. You know, it's just what, because we're bodybuilders or powerlifters, we're not NFL players. I mean, every NFL player wants to be the greatest. Every powerlifter, bodybuilder wants to be the fucking greatest. And that's what it took for Ronnie to be the greatest. You know, it's just like, you know, these NFL players, they could get severe concussions and down the road have, you know, CTE and do crazy things. And well, it's like, well, why would you want it? Well, it's because they wanted to be the fucking greatest, man.
I think sometimes too, it's not just about being the greatest. Sometimes it's about being the greatest version of who you can be. Like it's about, I think everybody has a voice that they talk to, you know, they talk to themselves. I mean, everybody has that voice, right? So I think when you're shy of what you know you could do, that voice is kind of there saying, yeah, you could have done a little bit more. You could have, you know, you had another gear, you didn't use it. And I think I think for a lot of us that have our mindset, that's the fear, is we don't want to be haunted by that voice that says you could have done a little bit more.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, how many of us played football in high school and we're like, damn, man, I should have played a little bit, practiced a little more, done a little more, miss it, you know, things like that. And not even just
sports. I mean, even school. I think back to my being actually academic, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't really apply myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. how am I doing what I'm doing nowadays? Like, running a company and doing things and making mistakes as I'm doing it. I'm like, man, if I would have just done a little bit better in school, man, I could have. Now I really know some shit right now. Now,
Yeah.
now as I get older, I'm like, I'm like getting more and more obsessed with learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I noticed that. Yeah.
I want it all. I'm reading books. I hated reading books.
I know.
Reading books and I'm just doing shit. I'm like math, and I'm like, man, what the fuck? Like this, I want to know shit. And when you're younger, you don't really care about shit.
What do you think that is? Because I've gone through that myself in certain genres. So like, what do you think that is that all of a sudden kind of like, what I think is it something that like once you're good at one thing, you're like, maybe I can be good at other things, or is it just getting older?
I think it's that, but I also think it's probably who you started surrounding yourself around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, I have this thing, right? When like, I always feel like who you surround yourself around by is like who you become. So like if I grow up and I surround myself with gangbangers, I'm more than likely I have a very high chance I'm gonna be a gangbanger.
Yeah.
Right. If I surround myself with these science guys, I'm probably gonna learn and become like science. If bodybuilding, whatever, right? So
Sure.
I think like with your company, you with bodybuilding, you started surrounding yourself with bodybuilders. So what you do? You became a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Why? The bodybuilding progressed as you bodybuild with who you are and the people that you get to meet. You get yourself around a lot of business people. You start to see business. You're like, okay, I can make more money running a company than being a bodybuilder alone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you're surrounding yourself with business people, and then what happens? Now you have your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're really around business people, and then now like, okay, well, what is this guy doing? This business guy doing that's making his company much more successful than mine.
Yeah.
And then
it wasn't even, it's funny.
It's
funny you said that about money, like, oh, well, I could make a lot more money doing it. It wasn't even that. It was, I was seeing the people that had the companies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it wasn't money as much as it was, that guy doesn't know more than I do about this.
That too.
I'm like, if that guy can do it, I can do it for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what motivated me is I'm like, well, that guy's not better than I am at this thing over here. So like,
right.
Why don't I
like I'm here I am. I have a social media platform. Here I am. You're paying me this little bit of money, but I know my sales are making all this money for you.
Yeah.
You're making money off me. So I'm like, you're using me.
So wait,
I know you have to get to a point to be able to sit back and be like, okay, I want to run my own company or do my own stuff. But it's just like, I was just like, man, I could be doing this too.
Yeah.
And then you obviously have your own way of doing things. Like how this guy builds products is not how I would build products.
Sure.
I would do it for this, like my products are probably different than your products. Mine are more towards powerlifters and those type of guys. Right. And then you get some like, your company, stuff like that. I'm not saying yours are towards for powerlifters, but it's just bodybuilding,
Sure.
and just, that's your thing. Like you're going to be one of the greatest pump pre's out there. Right. And things like that. So that's what I think. I think it's just, I think that's what clicks. I think it's just who you surround yourself by. And that's kind of where I was. I started hanging around with people that own businesses, that ran companies, not even just supplements or in the fitness industry stuff, just other things. And I was so like, just admired by it. I'm like, man. And not just that, like the workload. I like that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like last night, I worked late last night and I was tired as shit. But I still got up and went to the gym and did shit last night late. I didn't get up until midnight last night. And it's just like, I remember sitting down on the couch, I'm like fucking tired.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Those days feel good.
They feel great. I'm like, but I just literally got up and went and just got it done. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I like the feeling of like stress, and exhaustion.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm doing shit.
Yeah. So as a professional bodybuilder for, over a decade, I lived off of contracts and primarily. Yeah. And so my days were surrounded by eating and training, which there's a lot of like spaces in there where you're not doing shit.
Not doing shit. Yeah.
And now I find life a little bit more rewarding. I can't full-time bodybuild as good as I used to, but my days are full now, the podcast or the business and the bodybuilding. And it's like, I have those same days you do. At the end, you're just like wiped. But you feel accomplished and you feel like it's kind of like having a really hard leg day.
Yeah.
Where you're like, it sucks, but when you're done, you're like, you did it. You know what I mean? So before you go, listen, I want to show people so this is your supplement company. When did you start this?
Just a couple of years ago.
And how's it going?
It's going, obviously, with COVID happening and stuff, it was a little I mean, gym shut down. You're not selling a grip of supplements, but I just started this company, and it's been the hardest, most rewarding thing. I've learned so much. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like that's just part of it. You know what I mean? I didn't get the opportunity to get crazy, which is fine. Like, people to back my company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just, just a little bit of money. Started off with a couple products, and it slowly has generated into more products and more SKUs and different flavors and things like that.
Sure.
And it's fucking hard, man.
But how great was it when you got your first tub?
What's that?
Like, how great was it when you got your very first tub, like finished with the label on it and the whole thing?
So crazy, right?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm actually really doing this shit,
Yeah.
And, I was like, this is really gonna happen. And and I'm still like learning things, and I'm trying to get better at the formulations, because I feel like the formulations they can always get better. I mean, ingredients come, different things. They're changing monthly. I feel like it's like my pump pre. People like it, I hate it. Like, and then I get some people that don't like it because they don't understand that the clumping comes from the glycerol and stuff like that, and they don't understand that glycerol is a great ingredient. And it's just, but it's just like more of an aesthetic thing. They get it and they're like, what is this? So right now I'm in transitioning of we've reformulated that pump pre, and we got a new one coming that's completely different. The texture's different, the pump's different, everything's different, but it's just like a thing. It's just like, God damn.
I didn't change mine. I'm like, no, I'm not, I don't care. What's that?
You have the glycerol in yours?
Yeah. I'm like, listen, listen, I don't care if you don't like the fact that it's clumping. Yeah. But you are going to benefit more
absolutely
with the glycerol than it being powder form and not having glycerol. So I'm like, so instead of removing it, I try and educate. I'm like, listen, it's just a humidity thing. Break it up, put it in the water. Once it's in the water and it dissolves, you're going to get the same benefit.
Absolutely.
So but no,
I like slap it in the water and it literally breaks down. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And you're going to get some of the greatest pumps, and you do.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I said, just slowly changing things, mixing things, trying to make customers happy, and at the same time, but sticking to the guns of like you said, of like, well, this is the reason why.
Well, one of the things I realized is you can never make everybody happy. Yeah. So my philosophy about the company is, first of all, I need to be able to use it myself.
Right.
And second of all, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and this is the best I can do. If somebody doesn't like it, there's nothing I can do about it. Right. It's like the glycerol thing. You might not like it, but I know it works. Yeah. So it's not going anywhere. Right. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so some things I just won't bend on, even if I
swear to God, my customer service thing, the number one thing is that glycerol shit.
Yeah, I know. I get it too. I just try and educate. I have a standard response that I've given to our people that respond on customer service. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you have to tell them it's just humidity. It will break down, and it is not degraded at all.
Right. Yeah. The thing that I was like, what we started doing was I just had stickers made.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll just slap it on there, slap it on the top of the bottle, and just it goes. Or when you get shipments in, just have have people just slap a bunch of stickers out.
Yeah.
But we just have a little sticker, right, like a little thing. And my pump pre is called Primitive. So when Primitive comes through, just grab that, slap that sticker that has a warning label, like, hey, clumping. These are the reasons why, and it just makes it easy, because now, and what that is, that kind of cut back on customer service, because then that's the customer service right there on top of
that's
the bottom.
That's right. Yeah.
Explanation of like why the reasoning.
Can I steal that idea from you?
You absolutely can. It works, dude. It works. It works. So it is so easy to get a little stickers made with a warning and just write it.
Yeah.
Clumping can happen, but and then that's it. It has a little description on why it was clumping, and then it's helped out a lot, to be honest with you. So use that, man. You might be surprised at how much
save me some time. Yeah.
So it's been, like I said, everything's been great, man. It's just, like I said, it's the hardest, most difficult thing I've ever done is running a business, because I graduated as a high schooler and I was a grunt in the Army, man. Business.
But it's funny though. You know what? I think obviously there's a numbers side to business, but your personality seems like it's very giving as far as like wanting to help people. And I think that's the biggest component of business, man. Like that's how my company runs. Like our formulas are, we're spending more on our formulas than most companies, but I'm like, look, I just want to give people what supplements should be. Right. Yeah. And I think as long as you're giving, like in business, as long as you're giving back to people, you're going to be successful. I think I think people can tell when you're out just to get their dollar and you don't really give a shit about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was
I mean?
something when I got into this, you see a lot of gaps in other companies' products. And that was something I was like, I just don't, how are they getting away with that?
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, as like, I don't know, times are kind of changing where these young kids, they're fucking knowing this shit.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Readers, and they like to know shit. And and those are the ones I'm like, okay, that was me too. It's like, when I was building my products, I got that a lot. It's like, well, if you didn't use this or this, and you got rid of this and this, your margins are gonna be better. I'm like,
exactly.
It's not about, could I make more money real fast? But I'm trying to be like longevity.
Sure. Yeah.
I want longevity with my company, and I want these customers to know that they're just getting good shit. Because I feel like if they try it, just like you, if they like, you're doing the same thing, they try it, they know they're getting everything out of that. So they'd rather spend the $40 here getting everything than the $38 over here.
That's right.
Not getting all this, right? And I'm going to pay $2 more for a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, at its root, it's just building trust.
Right.
You want people to trust you. So I think that's
that's kind of like where I've been at. That's why you'll get some people, I'm sure you have with your products, obviously, if you're doing them the same way, as like, man, I just never, this, if I recover better, I don't.
Yeah.
Like this. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because there's like 3 or 4 things in here that this company doesn't have that you were using.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
People with my pump one, they're like, man, you're putting pink Himalayan salt in it? I'm like, well, yeah. Because I know a lot of bodybuilders, they put pink Himalayan. You'll see them
put their own dash of it. Yeah.
Like, why? Just I'll pay a little money. You don't even have to do that now.
Put it in there. Yeah.
Give you a great product, and just things like that. Just things like that. So, it's like you said, man. It's just building trust, and I mean, at the end of the day, we're here and we're in health and fitness.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's one of the most scandalous industries. Sometimes,
Can be. Yeah. Yeah.
It is, you get a lot of companies that you get these rich guys that come in and just start supplement companies.
I've said it all. Yeah.
They're not really the powerlifters, the bodybuilders, the weightlifters, the CrossFitters. They're just businessmen, and all they give a fuck about is money.
Yes.
And that makes guys like you, me, other companies that are actually like athletes.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it even harder for us because we're putting a lot more money into our products to not get as big as margins.
But I think you're right, though. Yeah, I think you're right, though. People are waking up to that.
I think so.
And maybe not on a mass level, but I think it will come around eventually. And so it's beneficial. But before we go, I would be crazy if I didn't mention this because I'm a car guy. And I noticed that this is the last thing I'm going to talk to you about. And then I'll let you go because I know we've gone way over the amount of time that I was going to keep you for. But your car. So I'm reading this. I'm reading this post here. And it says, "What's your dream car?" I always wanted a Hellcat. So when did you finally get this beauty?
So I got my Hellcat probably about 3 years ago. It was the same for me. When that car first came out, and that's the Fast and the Furious house right there. I've been a car guy my whole life. I've just loved cars, and that, I don't know, when the Hellcat first came out, I was like, God dang, that is the car.
Yeah.
And I finally was able to get one a few years ago, and I still have it. I love it. I'll never sell it, never get rid of it. I've done a lot of modifications to it, and me and a couple of my friends have really built that car ourselves.
What have you done to it? Like just briefly, you don't have to go through everything.
Yeah, no. So I put, it's got long tube headers, it's got upper pulley, it's got a upgraded intercooler system. It's been dynoed. I've ran 9.8 quarter miles out here.
No way.
Yeah, I ran, my fastest time's 9.8.
You ran a 9.8 quarter mile?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's demon speed.
That's demon speed. Yeah.
That's demon speed.
So my car will do, 9.8, 10.1 always, pretty much.
I love hearing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's loud. I mean, I get in trouble often with it, but
with the long tube headers.
I told my motorcycle up the other day, and he's like, "Your car sounds like a damn jet,"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just long tube. And I live in California, so it's rough out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just long tubes, headers, straight piped all the way out the back.
But you can't. That's not even legal. You can't.
Well, there's a loophole, because in California, when you buy a brand new car, you don't have to have it smogged for years.
Oh, that's right. So you just wait, and then
and then I gotta find a homie,
Yeah, you have to.
So, I have to find a guy, but no, it's I love it, and it's like,
is that your daily?
Yeah, it's my daily.
So, dude, what do you? Okay, so this is the thing. So now we're talking cars. So I'm thinking about. I bought an Escalade, which Okay, so before the Escalade, I had an F250, jacked up on 38s.
Yeah.
Loved it, right? I got rid of the F250. I bought an Escalade, and I'm like, I kind of feel like an old man now. I'm like, this thing's cushy, and it's like, it's just too nice, right? So now I'm thinking maybe I'll get like an in between. So I was thinking about a TRX.
Yeah, I love. My buddy has one. Fuck.
Yeah.
Whew.
Okay, so right now I got the Trackhawk. Right. So I figure I'll have the Trackhawk and the TRX.
Yeah.
But I don't want to daily the TRX because I heard gas mileage is fucking ignorant with this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, if you're running 9.8s, you got to be, running 700 horse at least, maybe more.
Yeah. So I have 2 tunes on it.
Yeah.
So when I am driving it, not at the track, I just plug it into my.
Oh, okay.
And I put it on a 91 octane tune.
Yeah.
Kind of simmers are down. Still fast as shit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Street, there's not a lot of cars that are just ready to roll. That'll take that car.
Yeah.
But it does simmer it down a little bit. And then we were able to get it to where kind of like it'll still stay on eco mode too. So I could be mobbing and click it in eco mode and get freak ass gas mileage because
really
the cylinders shut down still and
yeah,
great gas mileage. Yeah. So no, I drive that thing no problem. It's not like if I'm like smashing around the city like a crazy ass, like getting on her a lot. Yeah, it'll drain the fuel. But no, it actually does pretty well, especially freeway. It thing does great on gas.
What's your buddy think of the TRX? Is it just draining his pocket or is it worth it?
He's in love with it.
Really?
And I rode it and I raced it in mine. I was like, motherfucker, that's a truck. Like, I want one. Like, I want one. I like it. Like, I want one because that thing is that thing's crazy.
How close?
He has a Trackhawk too. His wife has a Trackhawk.
Yeah. Yeah.
His wife has a Trackhawk and now he bought the TRX and that TRX is vicious.
I think they're pretty much the same speed because I think the TRX is supposed to do
he put some modifications on that TRX already. Yeah. He just had it dynoed. It's doing some crazy shit. It's running it's crazy. And the way it hooks, like I couldn't believe it. When he punched it, I was like, what the fuck?
All-wheel drive, yeah.
On.
I can't believe it's the same speed as it gets the same 0 to 60 times as a Trackhawk though, because that truck is big, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild.
Yeah.
I think it's got a little bit more torque than the truck. Why the way it does. It's probably that launch right out the gate is probably what's keeping it in that 0 to 60 time frame with the Trackhawk, because I race Trackhawks and on the streets I at a dead stop the Trackhawk will leave
gone.
Me. But track when I'm able to put slicks on and stuff like that, I can launch on them pretty well. But I've raced a Trackhawk on the street and I mean that thing, it looks like it just hops out, like it just hops out there. It's just what the hell? I remember the first time I raced one, it jumped out in front of me so fast. What the fuck is that? Because I'm a Mopar guy. I love it. I love everything that Mopar is doing, and it's it's incredible to see what that thing does. Yeah, I've always wanted a TRX, but my goal is I do want a Viper ACR one day.
I think I read that, and you thought that's a sweet car, man.
I've always wanted one since I was a little boy. I remember just the Viper.
But I heard you can't daily that car though, man. I heard it's rough. It's rough as fuck.
Probably. As long as it's sitting in my driveway, I'm stoked.
You just look at it, yeah.
But obviously the Demon is something that I wish I would have bought. And I should have bought it because it was, it wasn't a crazy amount more than my Hellcat at the time. And I wish I'd have bought it because that's when then they stopped making them.
It's a collector's item now. Yeah.
My buddy just bought one not too long ago, and I'm just like, God,
yeah, yeah.
$100,000 now. I mean, I know a guy who bought 4 when they first came out.
Yeah.
And kept them and never drove them. Sold 3 of them and made bank off them. You know.
Yeah.
The Demon's a pretty car, and that's sometimes what I'll just tell people, like, I may not have the logo, but I'll whip that Demon's ass.
That's right.
Get out there, get on them a little bit. But no, great cars, man. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know you had those, but that's a If you're thinking about getting TRX, I would get it. I would get it because I don't think they're going to be around very long.
I just don't want to dump. I don't want to fill up gas like twice a week. You know what I mean? Like,
mob the escalator around here and there, But I mean, I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be okay. I think you could. I don't know the whole settings on that thing, but my guy, he drives his all around town all the time, and he doesn't bitch and complain about it at all.
Yeah, well, it's like a friend of mine said, you got to pay to play. You want the toys, you got to fucking pay for them. So
yeah, but like I said, it could be a collector item to that TRX. I don't think it's gonna be around. I really don't think it's gonna be around very long.
No, but I don't know because the Raptor's coming out with the Raptor R, so I don't think Dodge is gonna want to fall back.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Well, I mean, Dodge they stopped. They're not making the Hellcats or any of that stuff anymore, supposedly.
Really?
That's what they're saying. That's what I've heard. They got. I saw a commercial that they're putting out one of the fastest electric cars ever.
Imagine that, going from the Challenger, which is like, the roughest street car you can get, to an electric car.
It's so funny, right? Because I'll pull up to like Mustang Shelby's, Camaros ZL1s, and they're still like Hellcat, man. The Hellcat, it sounds different. Just mean sounding, man. It's different.
I was just talking about this to some of the guys. The electric cars are faster, obviously, but there's just not the same feeling without the sound of the engine and everything. So I don't know if I'll ever be an electric car guy, but
no, I don't think so either. I can't handle. I need that raw sound, the power, and just everything. I need that in my life. Yeah. Like, there's just nothing like it. I get next to some Teslas and stuff, and they take off, and I'm like, the fuck was that? Like, the hell was that? But they're fast. They can't keep up with me top speed.
Not the top end, no.
After about 100 miles an hour, they're getting peed on pretty bad. So that's why I didn't know you owned all those. That's cool stuff. But I would definitely consider the TRX for sure.
All right. KC, listen, I want to say a couple things. I just want to say thank you for your service. I want to say, because I didn't say it throughout the podcast, I didn't want to interrupt, but sorry for your losses.
Yeah, it's all right.
And if you want to say, if there's anything you want to finish with, if you want to thank anybody, or if you want to say anything before we go, I'll let you have the last word.
I mean, the only thing that I would like to say, to people that listen to this is just, it's going to be rough for a lot of the guys that did the global war on terrorism wars. It's rough on us right now. If you just happen to see a bet, or something like that, one of these young guys, just let them know that it wasn't meaningless to what happened. That maybe they did the best at keeping, the terrorists at bay from coming here into America. That's the way I'm trying to think of it right now. Because if we didn't keep them out of Afghanistan and stuff like that, at least we kept them out of our doorstep. And I think if you just let them know that, I truly believe it'll mean a lot to a lot of those guys.
Sure.
It is rough right now. I talk to a lot of my soldiers and stuff, and they're it's hurtful. It's hurtful. And we almost feel meaningless right now. Yeah. And I don't want to see that happen ever again, like what happened to Vietnam vets happened to us. And my guys don't deserve that. Other soldiers don't deserve that. The families who lost, they don't deserve that. So, if you just happen to say something, or somebody that like lost family or knows or anything like it, just drop them a line, or if you see them say something, I think it'll go a long ways. Just to let the soldiers know that, what we did wasn't meaningless. That's all.
Okay. I think it's a good note to finish on. Casey, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much. Thanks, and we will talk to you soon. Hopefully you'll come on again after before your next powerlifting meet, or after your next powerlifting meet. We'll talk some more.
I'll get out there to your gym. I just saw you built that new gym wall.
Yeah, well, I got to get more plates for you, I think.
Oh, come on. All right, brother.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Anything, you let me know.
Okay, brother. Good to see you, man. Good talking to you. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and like the video. And if you get a chance, check out the description for all the different links to all the different places you can find Hostile and myself. And lastly, check out hostile.com for our new line of supplements and all of our apparel and gear. Thanks again for watching.